What's up, everyone? Today's question is from at Susan.Lindgren. And she asked, I want to become a social media influencer as a 55-year-old female traveling abroad. Is it worth my time? And then YouTube question mark. Okay, so for those just watching, welcome, subscribe, welcome to the community. This has been a beautiful journey where I am doing a daily coaching video every day for a year. So if you're just joining this train, it's going to get good. And basically, I'm collecting questions. You can ask them in the comment section. You can ask it on Instagram, Facebook. But what I love is that a lot of these questions are from different chapters of my life. And if you didn't know, I've been to over 100 countries and I was a full-time travel blogger for 7 years. So it's wild to look back at what worked and what didn't. And one thing that I will say about travel blogging and being a travel influencer is that it will never go out of style. So, to anyone watching, if you're in your 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, and up, there will always be a market for travel influencing. I am someone who will be traveling until the day I die. Okay. Like, God willing, I want to spend the majority of my life and my healthy years traveling. So as long as there are people like me, which there are many, there will always be a market demand and need for travel influencers. So let's break down the question from the top. Becoming a social media influencer. Let's start with that. So, Susan, I actually had a look at your page. Y'all, Susan is lit. You are living in Vietnam from what I see. And what I love about your stories is that you are documenting the day-to-day grind of like it's raining, it's typhoon season. I don't know, but it's like rainy season and you're just showing what it's like to carry your suitcase on the back of a motorbike and like not be fazed by it. So you might write down 55 as like, your technical age, but you have the energy and the vibrancy as of someone in their 30s. Your storytelling, your face to camera narration, your energy, your vibe, the information that you're sharing isn't someone who is 55 years old. So I'm curious if you wrote your age as a question as to whether you've missed your window of opportunity or just to see if there's like a specific way that you should be travel influencing. Because I don't look at age or I don't know, there's no demographic that can count or rule anyone out. As long as you have the energy, you have the ambition, you have the effort, and you're just willing to go for it, I think there's a market for anyone to make it as a social media influencer or someone in the travel space. So I think the biggest thing about social media influencing that I think I learned from experience, not so much from, I don't know, training or there was no college education for this. So I've been social media influencing for over 20 years without really knowing. And I think the best thing that I picked up while I was like building my brand and figuring myself out is carving a lane of someone who was willing to do things differently. So I can already see by the way that you're posting and sharing your travels around Vietnam, you're having very local and cultural experiences, which is already like putting you at a higher tier than most. Because if you think about luxury travel influencers, backpackers, there's just all these different ways that people travel, couples, travel influencers. So if you want to, I guess, label yourself as someone who's a 50 plus travel influencer, then you can be more intentional with sharing 50 plus content and making it clear that you are catering your travel tips to women who are 50 plus or people who are 50 plus. But for me, I remember in my early years, one of the biggest mistakes I made was calling myself a budget traveler or like a backpacker because I was broke. The tips that I was giving was like for fellow broke people. And so when I got my first luxury collab in Thailand and they wanted me to stay in this like gorgeous villa, it had the bed was so big. I had my own jacuzzi, I had my own pool, infinity pool, and I remember I just cried that night because number one, I didn't feel worthy of a luxury collab and I still was living in like a poverty mindset where I didn't know how to accept abundance because I had never experienced it in that capacity. And then being in such a large villa reminded me how alone I was. And there's very few times where I got like lonely during my solo travels. That was one of those nights where I was like, I have this beautiful villa and no one to share it with. I have this gorgeous like access and I'm just here by myself. And I started to feel guilty. I was like, well, if I post this, will my audience think I'm abandoning them because could they afford to stay here? And if they knew that I was sponsored, is this out of integrity? And just what's going to happen when my audience starts seeing me stay at places that they know I couldn't probably afford to stay there, but I was gifted or sponsored or paid to promote it. So I think if you can really get clear about the type of travel you want to do and not box yourself into one thing so that you don't rule out the potential to do something else later. So not calling yourself budget, not calling yourself luxury, but just saying you're like, you know, I don't know, you could say 50 plus or mid-range, but something that allows for flexibility so that, yeah, you can kind of evolve and figure out what you want to do down the line. Another thing, being a woman is huge. I didn't realize how many articles and press features I would get just from being a solo female. And I think even that word female, I'm mindful that some people like it's offensive, like, oh, you females. Maybe when men say it, it's gross. I say solo female because that's how it was always referred to me. So I actually think you should leverage that. Solo female travel is one of the biggest markets, multiple billions of dollars spent from women traveling solo around the world. And usually women who travel solo are mid-range to luxury. So they can afford it. They got it. Women, we do well for ourselves. When I think about the type of friends in my life and women in my life that travel solo, they're bougie. They're living life and their travel looks good, okay? So understand that yeah, just even being someone who's a solo female traveler, the market is so huge for you to attract other solo female travelers. And consider also maybe doing or hosting like local meetups wherever you go. I don't know if you're currently based in Vietnam or you're kind of rotating bases, but see what you could do about building community of solo female travelers because that's also a great way to network, also a great way to build community, a great way to collab, a great way to get opportunities, and kind of to leverage your influence. If Here's one thing about influencing. Sometimes we think that brands, they want to pay us for us. Like, oh, we're so amazing at storytelling. We're so good at photography. And so they're paying for our skill. Yes, but yes, and most of the time they're paying for access to our audience because our audience trusts us. And so if we post something and say, hey, y'all, like yesterday, I got my hair done at this gorgeous salon in Lisbon and I tag them. And so now I know that people screenshot it. I know that people saved, people bookmark that place because it has Glow's stamp of approval. And when you have that type of leverage, that is influence and it does translate to dollars. So brands want to pay for your level of influence over your audience and access to a demographic that they would have to spend thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars to get such a niche group of people from that demographic to pay attention. Because right now, let's say you are trying to get the attention of luxury solo female travelers in their 40s. How else will you do that? You cannot spend $1 million on an ad in between reruns of the Ellen show. I don't know. It's very hard to target demographic of women now because we are so spread out. We're on social media, we're running businesses. We're not really watching TV. We're paying to remove ads from YouTube. We're paying to remove ads from Hulu. Like you're not able to advertise to us as easily as before. And on social media, we don't trust ads. We skip them, we block them, we report them. Feels intrusive. So the only other thing that companies can do is pay for people who have access to the demographic that they want to sell to or be exposed to. Okay. Um, Next thing I want to say, you asked if YouTube is worth your time. Let me get a drink of water because I'm about to read you. I'm kidding. Mm. It's hard to dictate if something is worth your time if you're only doing it for guaranteed success. And what I mean by that is nothing that I've ever done, I had full certainty that this is going to work. I was always like, let's see. My curiosity is always greater than my fear of failure. I'm going to say that again. My curiosity is always greater than my fear of failure. Let's see what happens if I post a YouTube video every day for a year. I guarantee you the person that I'm going to become, the clarity that I'm going to have, the money and opportunities I will make, it is a byproduct of showing up and putting yourself out there. I've seen it time and time again. And just from being on the internet for almost 25 years, it is impossible to not live a better life, to not feel more fulfilled, to not get deeper clarity if you are showing up and doing the work. So, yes, it will be worth your time, not just YouTube, everything, everything and anything that you have the capacity to figure out. And know that everything is an experiment. It's not that you have to come to YouTube and say, okay, here is my banner, here's my description, here's my strategy to post every week, here are the episode titles, here's how it's going to look. It could literally look like mine, where I started my YouTube channel 11 years ago. I posted once on accident, and I posted again 3 years later. And then I posted again, maybe 5 years later. And oops, that video went viral. Almost a million views. YouTube sent me a check for 8,000. That was an accident. And I said, wait a minute, because the check came from Google. So I was like, is this a bill? Because I was still broke back then. I was like, I thought it was a bill. Any high number scared me because I wasn't making 8,000. So I said, wait a minute. I ain't paying this. What is Google? Like, what do they want? And I was like, wait, this is a check. They try to pay me. And that's when I was like, is something like let me log into Google and see what I did to deserve this because I hadn't done any brand campaign with them. And then I later learned that Google owned YouTube, and so the check was actually from YouTube. And so I log into YouTube after randomly, accidentally going viral. It just timing. Like the video went viral maybe 10 months after I posted the video. So I was not checking or expecting any virality. So yeah, I log in and I see almost a million views and probably 1,000 hate comments. It was a mess. The video was the top 5 Black friendly countries. And it was literally, I made it on a whim. I made it for fun, but I didn't realize that I made it during the year of the first Donald Trump presidency, where Black people were looking to leave. And so it happened to blow up. I happened to have the only video at the time that was updated and modern around countries that like Black people. So it was super random. And again, I was grateful, but I was also overwhelmed because now I felt like I had all of these people. I gained like 18,000 YouTube subscribers. It felt like overnight. And subscribers are so much harder to to get than followers. So it also felt like a large responsibility because then I said, okay, do I now talk about Black friendly travel? Like that's what they're here for. But now I feel trapped. And so what did I do? I disappeared. I said, thanks, YouTube. I'll take this little 8K. It just, I didn't know what to do. So I think I abandoned YouTube for another 2 years. So I say all that to say, I imperfectly showed up and accidentally made money in the process. So don't let strategy get in the way of consistency. Ugh, Kathy, that was good. Don't let strategy get in the way because this is midnight delirium. Okay, let me get back on track. All right. Let me make sure. Okay, Susan. So yes, YouTube, and I would say secondary is Instagram. The reason I spend so much effort and time curating my Instagram is I do believe it's everyone's first website. Every powerful person I met when we're networking or just talking, they're asking for my Instagram, not my website, not my YouTube, not any other social media platform. Because I think Instagram is the one place where people can congregate over photo, video, writing, everyday stories. It's so easy to update the world on your life on Instagram. TikTok feels like you have to post a video. YouTube, it has to be long form. Facebook, creepy and random sometimes. So Instagram just feels like the most stable platform for just networking. So I would really take the time to just curate your page to a degree that you feel really proud of and that you can pitch from. And again, scrolling your Instagram, you're doing a great job. Like you're consistent. You have great camera presence. It doesn't even seem like, most people they start, talking on camera and there's a little bit of nerves and tension, but it seems like you either have done this or you're really enjoying this or you don't care. But whatever it is, keep it up because you're doing it in a way that is sometimes hard to teach. So if talking on camera comes natural to you, continue to leverage that. I think it's a beautiful opportunity. Yeah, to see if you can be like a host for other companies or do on-camera work for different brands. The opportunities and yeah, it's just, you can't. When I had a company in Argentina ask me if I wanted to shoot a 12 episode series, half in Spanish, um, talking about what it's like to live like a gaucho, I'm like, how much? Everything has a price. And they paid very well. And I was like, I'll figure it out. My Spanish was very rusty at the time, but I was like, I'll figure it out. And so for 3 weeks, we shot this limited series in Argentina. I lived kind of on a ranch. It felt like the most random gig, but it funded about 9 months of travel. And I was so grateful that I was just showing up. Sometimes I don't know what I'm showing up for. Back when I was like full-time travel influencing, yeah, I mean, there would be good seasons where all the brands are like they want you. And so you're flying to 3 destinations in the same week. I know it's not the best for carbon footprint, but back then that was my full-time job. And so I'm going through 3 continents, 3 countries, and it's very chaotic. And then you have a season for 6 weeks where you're not traveling anywhere. So I will just set up a base in whatever the last country I was flown to was. So it might be Latvia or Poland. And so I'm just chilling and I'm working on my blog and I'm creating content until I get a phone call or an email for the next gig. And back then, and I say back then, 2015, travel influencer work was still very sporadic, random. There wasn't much legal parameters or industry standards. So most of them, literally most of them would give you less than a week's notice. Like, hey, we have an opportunity. Hey, are you available in 2 days? Hey, tomorrow we have these flights available. Can we book? And so it made me afraid to book more than like a couple days out because I always wanted to be available and ready for like the next job. And so it was almost like this constant anxiety of like, I don't know how long I'm going to be in this country, but I'm also hoping that it's not for much longer so that a new gig is coming. And yeah, I mean, travel influencing flew me to, I want to say, between 60 to 70 countries. Just imagine that 60 to 70 countries where you don't pay a dime. Someone pays for your ticket, someone is paying for your accommodation, someone's paying for your food, and someone's paying for your work, your writing, your photography, your influence on Instagram. Like someone paying you to exist and do what you love. That still blows my mind. And when I told people I was walking away from it, I could not tell you, like, there was just conviction and I was just being obedient. And if you watched by chance the video where I talk about just kind of like a near death experience, when I decided to walk away from travel blogging, it was literally a year to date from when COVID happened. And so I had a year to set up my business to move from 80% travel blogging to 80% online income. So by the time the whole world shut down, my whole business already transitioned online. And a lot of travel bloggers, like they posted, they went back to get jobs and they had to shut down their blog. And when I think about God's favor over my life, there is no rhyme or reason why I was spared. I was just obedient. I just felt this tug, this conviction of like, I think I've done what I needed to do. I was featured in all the top 10 solo travel bloggers and Oprah magazine and Airbnb and all of the lists. I was on all the lists. And at that point, it all felt like vanity. what was I actually doing to impact and help other people? And that's when I knew that there's more to life than this travel blog that I'm building. It was an incredible opportunity. And I'm glad that I started there because it gave me a launching pad to show others what's possible for them. It allows me to make this video and tell you what's available for you. So it's incredible. And I think now that I'm in this place where, the world is wide open again, I'm entertaining travel jobs again because I'm like, oh, let's see. So it's the best of both worlds. I say all that to say you are doing everything right. Continue to post, continue to show up, continue to find a unique lane that you know no one else can dominate in because it's something that tugs at your actual curiosity. And have fun. Don't take yourself too seriously. Show the day to day, build a community around your quirks, and you'll be set. All right, Susan, thank you so much for this question. And thank y'all for watching. Be sure to subscribe. Check out the link in my product description if you want to go deeper with me. And I will see y'all tomorrow. Bye. How about this hair? Forgot this hair.